All right, good morning, everybody. As per our agenda, we'll start with any pressing questions that anybody has off the top. Anything? No burning events? Nothing? All right, we'll get right into it then. So first off the hop, we have an update on Constable Lane Douglas Hunt. So as you recall, that Constable Douglas Hunt was violently attacked January 17th at the 7-Eleven on Douglas Street. She was stabbed with a large knife and sustained cuts and injuries to her hand. Since the time of the random attack, Constable Douglas Hunt has required several surgeries and extensive physical therapy. Her training and peak level of fitness helped prevent what could have easily been a far worse encounter, and also aided in her recovery process. She was initially returned to light duties, but this past month returned to active service and patrol and is back on the street, policing the communities of Victoria and Esquimalt. Constable Douglas Hunt's commitment and dedication to recovery actually put her return ahead of schedule. And just days following the incident, she's already talking about getting back on the street and doing what she loves. So we're very excited for her to be back. All good? All right, a little bit of a show and tell today. We have all the weapons over here. Large variety of our dangerous weapons were removed from city streets. A total of 70 weapons, including knives, brass knuckles, and pellet guns, were taken off the city streets during a special weapons tracking project undertaken by the Victoria Police Department's focused enforcement team. From the beginning of January till the end of April, our FET members decided to track the number of weapons seized after noticing a spike in the number of weapons-related incidents. During the past 4 months, all the weapons that were seized and collected, During the past 4 months, all the weapons were seized and collected during regular calls and street checks. Over half of the weapons seized were knives, with 48 of those being confiscated, but also included improvised weapons, including metal pipes, hatchets, and even a large rock in a mitten. A large portion of these weapons were collected for people who are well known to police. One man, who was a well-known drug dealer to us, had weapons seized from him on 6 separate occasions. A total of 27 charges were forwarded in relation to these seizures, the majority of which involved breaching conditions that prohibited the person from carrying a weapon. The total number of weapons does not include weapons seized by patrol members, and it's important to note that of our 241 members, there's only 20 FET members. So they're the ones that tracked this project through. Our officers are pleased with the results of the project and excited to see all the weapons off the street. And although the tracking project is completed, our members are committed to their proactive work continuing to make our community safer.
So, how many of these weapons were seized during, criminal acts like break-ins or crimes, or were they mostly just random checks?
It ranged from everything from somebody, not wearing a helmet while they're riding their bicycle and being stopped by police, to arrests for the weapons themselves. So it was a whole range. And like I said before, a lot of them were people that were known to us.
So were any seized in, for example, a fight or some sort of criminal act?
Yeah, no, there's a lot that were seized during altercations, and we go upon people, we come and break up the fight, find out that maybe a weapon was involved, maybe it wasn't, but they had access to that weapon. And you got to remember that a knife in a pocket is, that's out instantly, right, in terms of a fight. So.
Like when you say you see some, how do you find out that they have a weapon on them, or what, how do you check them?
Well, a lot of the time, it's a person stop or something, and you're chatting with the person, you notice they have something bulging from their coat. That's obviously a concern for us, for officer safety, and concerns for the general public that somebody's carrying around a weapon. Or it's actually that it's hanging out and you can notice something on them. Or just the common one when you say, hey, do you have any weapons on you I need to know about? It's a very common question we ask, almost every street check or every stop that we have of anybody. So.
And people say yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. People are honest about it, right? Some, yeah. Not all, but some are, yeah.
I would say that 80%, if not more, of what's on those 2 tables are all restricted weapons in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And seeing as the people that you pulled these off of have conditions against possessing any sort of weapon, never mind a restricted one, where are they getting them?
They come from everywhere. As you can see, we have kitchen scissors. We have mittens with rocks in them. You can get this stuff anywhere, a flea market, a corner store, right? If you take a look, there's actually very few of these that are prohibited weapons. Not 80%, I would say. I think it's this half of the table here. That little bit, that's the prohibited weapons, right? Not even the mitten. but the pepper spray, we have our daggers, our flick knives, brass knuckle type weapons, and then actually the wristbands with spikes on them, those are actually listed as a prohibited weapon as well.
And the asps?
The asps are not. No.
Oh, they're not?
They're not listed as a prohibited weapon. No.
Point being though, where, I mean, you say where are they getting it? Are they getting it off the internet? Are they getting it, like you said, in corner stores? I mean,
Yeah.
isn't there some method of preventing these sort of weapons to come into the community in the first place?
I'd love to say yes, but that's our frustration that we face every day when we deal with these individuals, is that we can seize a weapon that they're not allowed to have, and 20 minutes later they have a new one. So we have things like the asp batons that you can go down to the corner store, literally, you can go down and buy them. You can buy them at a flea market, you can buy them online, right? Bear spray. There's restrictions around bear spray, but you can still buy bear spray, right? So all of these things that, we have to deal with, and we have to, try and keep in our minds as we're trying to keep the community safe.
So, on what grounds did you take away the weapons that were not prohibited?
Well,
Because they were being used?
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Somebody will say, well, why do you have this? Well, I have it for protection. Well, you have a weapon for protection means you want to use that against another human being, right? So you can't have that, right? So the weapons will be seized in that instance.
Okay.
What was the most dangerous item that was found?
It depends what you look at. You take any of these knives, they can kill you instantly, right? One good puncture with a knife and you can be dead. Or you take the pellet gun, for example, which probably can't kill you, but if you pull that out on an officer and you point that at an officer, you could take a look at that gun, and from me to the back of the room or you to me away, I challenge you to tell me it's a fake or it's not a regular gun, right? So it all depends. Any one of them can cause serious damage or death.
And how many in total?
70 weapons total.
70.
Yeah.
And you talked about a spike in crime of using related to weapons. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we noticed that during our dealings, we were finding more people had the weapons. What had happened was in December, we noticed that there was a few more people that were using, we had a file robberies that were using a replica handgun. And so through those investigations, looking at those, we realized that, we should start tracking the weapons that we seize. Because this isn't unusual. This isn't like we went out and did something special. All we did is took the weapons that we seize on a regular basis and tracked the numbers. So we didn't go hunting for this. This is stuff our 20 members of the Beat in the Bike section came across. So.
Okay, so are you talking about a certain population that are using weapons more? Or why do you think there's more weapons?
Well, it's typically the people that we deal with in the Beat in the Bike section, which tend to be your downtown crowd, your downtown daytime crowd, right? So we find a lot of the drug-entrenched culture, things like that. And those are the folks that we find that we're dealing with most. Therefore, those are the weapons that we seize most, right, from people like that. But we did seize weapons from people who'd never had a police interaction before, right?
Do you have any theories about why the street population is arming up?
I wouldn't say that they're arming up. Like I said, this isn't unusual, right? This is pretty standard for us for what we can seize in a 4-month period. But yeah, I don't think they're arming up, but we're just paying more attention and tracking. Yeah, and that was more in relation to a couple of certain individuals who were going around and a little bit on a tear back in November, December. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were these for the most part, interactions like around 900 Pandora and kind of problem areas in the downtown core?
Well, certainly that's where our Beat and Bike guys focus, is around those core areas, but not specifically on the 900 block. We do have a couple hot spots around, right? So that's typically where the seizures are made. But that's the thing is, you know what? You walk downtown or you go out with some friends and there's probably a guy at a coffee shop that has a knife, right? That's the reality. It's nothing, nothing illegal against that, but it's all around us. So.
If these things are so easy to find, how is taking them away going to solve the problem? If people can just get them back again from the corner store or wherever they're getting them?
It's like when we take the cars of impaired drivers, right? And we seize those. Yes, you can still get it, but we're making it more difficult, right? We're making it more difficult for you to go. You have to spend that extra time, go down and actually do that. So it does help, and it also sends the message too that, you know what, we're watching, we're monitoring, we're making sure that if you have a weapon, we're going to know about it.
Is this not also some sort of statement that, I mean, if you're mentioning people have restrictions, they're under court condition to not possess a weapon, and then they possess a weapon and you take it from them, and by your own statement, within a very short period of time afterwards, they're getting another one. Is it also some sort of a statement saying that the courts have to do something in terms of tightening up what restrictions mean and what penalties there may be for violating restrictions?
Well, I can't speak to what the court does. Like, we would like more restrictive conditions across the board, right? To make it harder to go back and get one. That would be what I would like, right? To see that if we take something from you, if we take a baton and you're not allowed to have one, that it's actually harder for you to go and find one. You don't just get to walk down to the corner store and pick one up, right? So those are the things that we certainly see as the problem.
So something along the lines of an FAS?
Yeah, I don't know if we need to go that route, but there does need to be some sort of maybe provincial legislation or something that we can push for to help enact that would, you know, see a change. And like I said, this isn't unusual. This is just tracked. That's what scared us, or not scared us, but made us concerned, is we said, geez, this is just tracking it. This, you know.
So that's the point of the tracking. You'd like to see new policy.
Yeah, we'd like to see something that would make it harder for people to come into possession of, you know, some of these. But if you look, some of them are a box cutter from Home Depot, or a carpet knife from, you know, Castle Center. So it's not like every weapon is something that's an actual weapon. We have lots of improvised weapons up here. A rock and a glove, you know, scissors, carpet knives, those sorts of things.
Could it not be something as simple as asking retailers to, quote unquote, keep the stuff behind the counter?
Yeah, and I don't know what the proportion of these that are stolen are and one that are legitimately bought, because you can keep it behind the counter and I can still go in and buy it. Right, so I don't know if that's the answer, but it could help.
I mean, I know in the province of Alberta, especially in southern Alberta, certain intoxicants like Lysol and Listerine and things of that nature, the quarter stores, which are, you know, a little different than Home Depot, as a retailer goes, you cannot purchase that stuff off the shelf. You have to actually ask them, and that gives them an opportunity, the retailer, to say, sorry, we don't carry it.
Yeah.
If they think the person's questionable, could you not employ something like that at sort of the core people who would retail this stuff?
Well, you can, but you know what? Like I said, you can buy this anywhere. So it's not that you have pharmacies or you have grocery stores. You can buy a box cutter at a grocery store. You can buy a carpet knife at Home Depot. You can buy whatever, right? So it's hard to work that angle, but yeah. I see what you're getting at with that, right? All right. Any other questions on that one? If anybody has any questions about the weapons specifically, as far as, you know, explanations or demonstrations, Mike Massini is here. He's our weapons expert for the Victoria Police Department. So, all right. Okay. So we have a 39-year-old Esquimalt man is being charged with assault and attempted murder, and more charges may be forthcoming as Victoria Police continue to investigate a series of incidents that occurred about a week ago. On Sunday, May 9th, the man attempted to strangle and choke a woman inside an apartment located on Gorge Road East. Police arrived at the residence at about 5 a.m. and found the man in the hallway with blood on his hands. The victim was located inside the suite and tended to by officers and paramedics, but her injuries did not require hospitalization. The man, however, was taken to hospital for a psychiatric assessment and was later released to police custody. James Richardson, Richardson, of Esquimalt, was issued a 30-day psych remand on his first court appearance on May 10th. Richardson is also facing a charge of assault from a separate incident that occurred earlier the same morning near Blanchard and Hillside. Just after 3 a.m., he was involved in some form of altercation with another man. Neither of the men were initially cooperative with police. Both men went on their ways, but a follow-up investigation led police to recommend charges against Richardson. Hours later, police encountered Richardson again on the 100 block of Wilson Street, behaving erratically. Police drove him to the Gorge Road apartment, where the eventual victim spoke with officers and volunteered to accommodate him. The pair had shared the residence as she was allegedly helping him with some personal issues. The VicPD Patrol Division was assisted by Major Crimes, Special Victims Unit, Forensic Identification Services, and the region's Domestic Violence Unit on the initial investigation. Richardson's next court appearance is June 2nd.
So how was this man known to the woman who who lived in the Gorge apartment suite?
They had a relationship.
Like they were
Personal
boyfriend,
relationship.
girlfriend?
Yeah.
So did police know about this 3 a.m. assault when they picked him up in the 100 block of?
We had dealt with him at that time, and there was no independent witnesses. Neither party wanted to do anything about it, so we didn't have anything to go on for a charge at the time. So
you
we
dealt
had.
with him at 3
Yes, we did.
a.m.?
Yeah.
And then, sorry, what time was it that you encountered him? Like you said, erratic in the 100 block of, I missed the street.
I don't have a time.
But like, are we talking hours later?
Yeah.
or-
Yeah,
Okay,
wasn't moments later.
great. But so why, like, sometimes when you pick up an erratic person, you'll take them into police cells. Like, why take him to a woman's apartment where he eventually attacked her?
Well, at the time, we didn't have any information to say that he was violent or a danger to himself or others. There was the altercation with the male, but neither party had provided a full statement. There were no independent witnesses. So we didn't have enough to apprehend him under Section 28 of the Mental Health Act. Also, he wasn't intoxicated. He didn't present himself like that at all to our officers. So when we found out where he lived, we went to the location. One of our officers went and spoke to the man spoke to the woman that he was staying with while he remained in the vehicle. And she volunteered. She said, yep, she hadn't seen him in a couple days. She was worried about him and volunteered to take him in.
And how old is she?
I don't have that.
Can we find that out? Thanks for doing that. So what, was she didn't have serious injuries or anything like that?
No, she was tended to by paramedics at the scene.
So what are the grounds for attempted murder? Like can you explain,
Right.
did he use a weapon or what were his actions that constitute attempted murder rather than aggravated assault?
I can't get into the details of this certain event, but in something like that with an attempted murder case, you'd be looking at not only the actions, but sort of the state of mind of the person, so what they were thinking. And that makes attempted murder a very hard charge to prove, where you can have an aggravated assault that, on the outset, if you look at it, could look like somebody tried to kill another person, but unless you can add that piece of what that person was thinking, then you don't have a lot to go on. So our investigators, that's what they've been doing for the last week, is really working on this file and trying to get that piece sorted out.
But how in the last week then have they been able to add that piece that constitutes attempted murder?
I can't get into the investigative stuff right now.
So why the delay? Like, this seems like it happened more than a week ago. That he was taken into custody, I assume, or I guess, like, how did the woman call police, or who called
Yep.
police that they came to?
She called police initially. And you can understand that it's still under investigation, right? And it's a delicate situation. There's numerous facets to it. So our officers have been very sensitive to sort of both the victim and the assailant, because there's certain issues there. So we're working through the investigation, and it's just taking time to kind of roll out.
And so when was he charged?
He was charged May 9th. He made his first court appearance May 10th.
How did he get, you said blood on his hands?
Mhm.
What, there was a struggle?
The female sustained an injury, but it didn't
Oh.
require hospitalization.
Oh, okay, so it was her blood on him.
Can't speak to that, but
Okay.
But he didn't have a weapon?
he didn't have a weapon like you'd see that's out on the table here.
So he he's already appeared in court. I'm not, this doesn't seem typical. Usually if there's a murder or an assault or whatever charge, we will, there'll be some sort of press release or some sort of public, statement saying, we have charged a man, he's appearing in court today. He appeared in court May 10th, a week ago, and now we're finding out about it. I don't understand the delay.
Right, I said that on May 10th he was issued a 30-day psych remand. Right? So you can understand even by those statements that there's certain sensitivities that we're dealing with in the file. So we wanted to make sure that we had everything set out and been able to paint an accurate picture for you. Right?
Can we get a bit more information on the weapon that he did have?
Not right now. No.
And how old is he?
He's 39 years old.
Is he known to police at all?
He has had previous interactions with police, yeah.
So was this his permanent residence, the Gorge Road apartment?
It was not his permanent residence, but he had stayed there over the last bunch of months.
How long was he seeing this woman?
I can't get into that right now.
Were there any other people in the suite, like children or?
No, there was not. No.
Is she getting the victim services help?
Oh yes, certainly. No, we're definitely in contact with her, and I believe on a daily basis, just making sure everything's okay.
Does he have prior convictions?
I don't think so. I don't think he does from our jurisdiction anyway.
Was there any component of sexual assault involved in the attack?
I wouldn't say anyway, Katie.
Is there a middle initial?
I don't have one, no. All right. All right, and finally, with the launch of Canada Road Safety Week yesterday, Victoria Police Department is launching our latest social media adventure, and that is VicPD Traffic on Twitter. So today, we're going to continue to be a leader in social media among police agencies with the launch of a dedicated traffic Twitter feed. At VicPD Traffic, we'll alert the public to road closures and hazards, but will also be an educational tool for members of the public. So it's going to be launched in conjunction today with the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police Canada Road Safety Week 2011. At VicPD Traffic, designed to give traffic updates in Victoria and driving tips to keep you safe and ticket-free. The Victoria Police Traffic Section sees this as a powerful educational tool. VicPD Traffic can be accessed via our website through a special button on our homepage or directly at twitter.com/VicPDTraffic. And VicPD Canada will continue to be used for the latest updates as far as the breaking news from the Victoria Police Department.